I grew up on a farm just outside a small town in Iowa, a place with barely 1,700 souls, built along the railroad tracks back in the late 1800s. The town's main street is a living relic, lined with buildings that have stood the test of time, their weathered facades whispering stories of a bygone era. As a kid, I was drawn to these old structures, each one a puzzle waiting to be explored. I'd wander through their creaky doors and dusty halls, imagining the lives that once filled them. My favorite was a hulking building that housed a flower shop on the main floor, its sweet, earthy scent mingling with the faint hum of history. Beneath it, in the basement, was a phone repair shop where my dad worked during the winter when I was about 10. After school, I'd trudge a mile through snow to meet him, spending hours in the flower shop waiting for a ride back to the farm. Those long afternoons could drag on, especially for a restless kid. I'd sketch on my pad or build a makeshift office in the back room, pretending to be a detective or an adventurer. But one day, everything changed. While poking around the basement, I spotted a heavy, unmarked door tucked in a corner. Curious, I asked the phone guy about it. He grinned, pulled out a key, and unlocked it to reveal something straight out of an old adventure novel. A rope elevator, the kind you stand on and pull to move up or down. My eyes widened as he gestured for me to step onto the rickety platform. With a tug on the rope, we ascended, the mechanism groaning under our weight. The elevator stopped at a hallway with a single door at the end, fitted with a small hatch at eye level. The phone guy explained that during Prohibition, this was a speakeasy, a secret drinking den where patrons had to whisper passwords through that hatch to gain entry. He opened the door, and I stepped into a vast, forgotten room. A long, polished bar stretched along one wall, coated in decades of dust and cobwebs. The dance floor, scuffed and silent, hinted at lively nights long past. I could almost hear the clink of glasses and the murmur of clandestine conversations. That moment sparked something in me, a hunger to uncover the secrets hidden in the other buildings along Main Street. Over the years, I explored nearly every structure on that street. Some were still in use, their owners granting me permission to poke around. Others, like the upper floor of the furniture store, held their own Prohibition-era secrets, with faded bar stools and forgotten bottles tucked in corners. But one building eluded me, the old movie theater at the end of Main Street. It was a relic from the early days of motion pictures, its marquee long since darkened. The story went that it had caught fire decades ago, a tragedy that claimed lives and left the town shaken. They rebuilt it, but the stigma lingered. People preferred the 20-mile drive to a nearby city's theater, and by the late 1930s, the place was abandoned, its doors locked tight for nearly 7 decades. That theater became my obsession. As a kid, I'd press my face against its grimy windows, dreaming of what lay inside. Years later, as a bolder, older version of myself, I decided to take a risk. The theater was off-limits, its padlocked door a clear warning, but curiosity outweighed caution. I waited until 2 a.m. when the town's streetlights flickered off and the streets fell silent. Armed with a crowbar, a flashlight, and a Coleman lantern, I crept to the front door. The padlock gave way with a wrenching snap, and the door creaked open, revealing a staircase descending into an oppressive darkness. This wasn't the kind of dark where your eyes adjust. It was absolute, like stepping into a cave. My flashlight cut through it, casting a narrow beam as I closed the door behind me to avoid detection. The summer heat gave way to a cold, damp chill as I descended, the air thick and stagnant. The stairs ended at a short hallway, followed by another set leading upward. It was an odd layout, confusing even now as I recall it. At the top was an unlocked door that opened into the theater's lobby, a modest space with a ticket booth and rows of chairs bolted to the floor, frozen in time. The lobby was underwhelming, so I pressed on, following a narrow hallway to the screening room. It was smaller than I'd expected, about the size of a 2-car garage. The screen was gone, but the seats remained, their faded upholstery sagging under layers of dust. A metal stand in the back likely once held a projector, though no trace of it remained. I wandered the room, my lantern casting eerie shadows, and spotted something glinting on the floor, a wheat penny, old and worn. It felt like a small victory, a tangible piece of the past. Back in the lobby, I noticed another door, this one secured with a padlock. My crowbar made quick work of it, revealing a cramped office. A rotting desk sat in the center, surrounded by scattered newspapers, their ink blurred by years of humidity. A faded painting of a flower pot hung on the wall, oddly out of place. But another door caught my eye, warped and stubborn. It took a few hard shoves to force it open, and when it gave, I nearly stumbled down a set of stairs leading to what I assumed was the basement. The basement was vast, like a basketball court, supported by crumbling brick pillars. The air was colder here, the silence heavier. As I examined one of the pillars, a faint sound stopped me cold, pitter-pattering, like tiny feet scampering in the dark. I swung my flashlight around, but the beam revealed nothing. Shaking it off as nerves, I moved to the north end of the room, where sheets covered stacks of chairs and boxes of old movie reels. I considered taking a reel as a souvenir but thought better of it. Then, another burst of pattering echoed, closer this time. I called out, half expecting a response, but silence answered. Uneasy now, I moved toward the east wall, where wooden boxes were stacked to the low ceiling. I pulled them down, finding them empty, until something caught my eye, a jagged hole in the wall, about 4 feet tall and 3 feet wide, its edges rough and uneven, as if torn out by hand. My flashlight revealed a tunnel, its walls crudely carved, like something from a prison escape film. The floor was flat, but the passage looked unstable. Still, the thrill of discovery was too strong to resist. I stepped inside, hunching to fit. The tunnel was tight, forcing me to crouch low. After a few steps, that pattering sound returned, but a glance over my shoulders showed nothing. I pressed on, the tunnel narrowing further until I was nearly crawling. About 20 feet in, it veered left, then opened into a wider space. Not quite a room, but a junction where 2 smaller tunnels branched off. The floor crunched underfoot, and I looked down to see scattered bones, small, delicate skeletons of cats, rats, maybe rabbits. My stomach churned as I spotted a decaying cat corpse near one of the tunnels. Something else was using this place. I chose the right tunnel, winding and claustrophobic. A faint breeze brushed my face, and soon I found its source, a hole in the ceiling, about the size of a shoebox, revealing a glimpse of rounded concrete above. I must have been under a culvert or manhole. The tunnel sloped upward slightly, which I hadn't noticed at first. But as I moved forward, the passage ended in a collapse of dirt and rock. A low rumble vibrated through the walls, followed by the unmistakable roar of a tractor overhead. The tunnel was shallower here, closer to the surface than I'd realized. Disappointed, I backtracked to the junction, my flashlight sweeping the floor. The decaying cat was gone. I froze, scanning the area, but it was nowhere. My pulse quickened. Something wasn't right. I stepped into the other tunnel, even smaller than the first, forcing me to crawl on hands and knees over sharp rocks that bit into my skin. I left my lantern behind to fit, clutching only my flashlight. After about 30 feet, I stopped to catch my breath, sitting hunched in the cramped space. Then I heard it, crunching, like footsteps on gravel, coming from ahead. I flicked on my flashlight, and 2 orange eyes stared back from 20 feet away. The thing was skeletal, hairless, like a twisted, emaciated monkey. "What the fuck?" I blurted, my voice echoing. It flinched at the light and vanished. My heart pounded as I scrambled to turn around, only to find it right behind me, its face inches from mine. It let out a guttural bark, and I lurched back, slamming my head into the tunnel's ceiling. Pain exploded as blood poured from a gash, warm and sticky on my face. Panicked, I crawled back toward the junction, the things growling close behind. I stumbled into the bone-filled room, my flashlight catching it licking the blood I'd left on the floor. Its eyes locked onto mine, unblinking as it snarled. I bolted for the main tunnel, tripping over bones in my haste. I didn't duck low enough and smashed my forehead into the tunnel's entrance, collapsing in a daze. Blood streamed down my face, mixing with the pain from my earlier wound. I forced myself up, ignoring the throbbing, and sprinted through the tunnel, bursting into the basement. Desperate, I grabbed wooden boxes and piled them in front of the tunnel's entrance, hoping to block whatever was following me. I ran for the stairs, but in my panic, I hit a wall instead. For a terrifying moment, I thought the stairs were gone, but a quick scan revealed them nearby. As I climbed, I heard the boxes splintering behind me, followed by rapid, clawing footsteps. I reached the office, slammed the warped door shut, and kicked it until it jammed. Something heavy crashed against it, clawing and thumping. I shoved the rotting desk against the door, my flashlight trembling in my hand. The pounding stopped abruptly, replaced by an eerie silence. Then, a faint clicking echoed from the direction of the screening room, mechanical, rhythmic. Against my better judgment, I crept toward it. A glow spilled from the room, and when I entered, I saw a square of light projected onto the brick wall where the screen should have been. No projector, no source, just light emanating from midair. I stood transfixed until a sound snapped me out of it, crying, soft at first, then growing louder, surrounding me. It wasn't distant or muffled, it was as if invisible people were sobbing all around. The crying turned to screams, shrill and panicked. The light shifted to a deep, blood-red hue, bathing the room in an unnatural glow. That was it. I ran, heart pounding, back through the lobby. As I passed the office, the door burst open, the desk skidding across the floor. A snarl gurgle echoed behind me, and I knew the thing was loose. I sprinted down the hallway, down the stairs, and toward the exit. The creature's footsteps pounded closer, its guttural noises filling the air. I threw myself through the front door, tumbling onto the sidewalk as the thing lunged, only to vanish the moment it reached the doorway. I collapsed, gasping for air, my body scraped and bleeding. My head throbbed, my hands and knees stung from cuts, and my face was slick with blood. I staggered to my feet, slammed the theater door shut, and vowed never to return. My lantern, left behind in the bone room, was a small price to pay for escape. I drove home, patched myself up, and tried to make sense of what I'd seen. A year later, the town made headlines. During the demolition of a building 2 doors down from the theater, workers uncovered a branch of the tunnel system I'd explored. The newspapers called it a forgotten relic, unknown to any living resident. They speculated about its origins, maybe a Prohibition-era smuggling route, maybe something older. One detail stood out. A modern Coleman lantern, found deep in the tunnels, baffled everyone. I chuckled, knowing it was mine, but kept silent. The tunnels remain, deemed safe enough to leave untouched, but now closely monitored to keep out curious kids, or anyone else foolish enough to venture inside. I've never gone back. The memory of those orange eyes, that blood-red light, and the screams in the dark still haunts me. Main Street secrets are many, but some are better left buried.